Welcome. All righty. This is Recovery Dharma, friends. And for the month of July, we are exploring as a community the 4 limitless qualities, also known as the 4 immeasurables, or the qualities to cultivate true love, or the 4 Brahma Viharas. And this week we have been having conversations around one of these limitless qualities, equanimity, which Thich Nhat Hanh, I personally find that Thich Nhat Hanh's definition and perspective on equanimity, his simplicity of what it means, has been very helpful to my practice. And so I'd like to share with you how Thich Nhat Hanh talks about equanimity in terms of definition. Equanimity is the cultivation of space. We cultivate space in order to see clearly. In seeing clearly, we have a depth of understanding. And when we have deep understanding, we have freedom. To Thich Nhat Hanh, equanimity and freedom are synonymous. And in that spirit, I'd like to share with you a sentiment of loving kindness, of metta, as the intention for our practice today. This one reads, "May your heart beat with the rhythm of life. May your heart beat with the rhythm of life." Allow your mind to arrive to this practice, and allow your mind, maybe invite your mind to adopt a celebratory mood. What are we celebrating? We're celebrating our courage and our resilience, our self-respect, that we have prioritized this time to come into community, to practice these ancient teachings, the Dharma, and to tap into our Buddha nature, that incorruptible part of ourselves that has access to limitless wisdom, self-awareness, openness, space. Allow the body to relax. And let's take a few moments together of silence to just quickly scan the body, head to toe, toe to head, pausing anywhere in between that might be carrying a little bit of tension. Right now, for me, what I'm aware of is my shoulders. My shoulders are where I carry all my stress and anxiety. And this morning in our yoga practice, we did these new movements that I met with some resistance. And whenever resistance arises in my body physically, it creates tension. And the tension usually manifests in my shoulders. Some of that resistance was physical and some of it was mental. And the mental resistance simply appeared in my mind as very simple thoughts. I can't do this. This is too hard. I feel awkward. My body isn't made for yoga. You know, just the stories we tell ourselves. And so I had to work with that. Nonetheless, the residue, the imprint that time in yoga, that time I had in yoga this morning has left an imprint that I'm still carrying in my shoulders. And I'm not judging it, I'm simply observing it. Wow, there's some tension there. Maybe if I straighten my back, roll my shoulders down a little bit, and soften my belly and breathe, I can feel that tension ease, because this moment is not that moment. I'm in a whole new moment. Keep the gaze of your practice gentle and inward. Allow your breath to be a homecoming every time you step across its threshold into awareness. So when your mind wanders away and then remembers to breathe, know that you're coming home to yourself in that awareness. And if you have to do it over and over and over again, welcome to meditation. That's how it works. Today, for our Equanimous practice, we are going to be working and bringing forward with pairs of opposites. To be free, to have freedom, is to come into the wholeness of being, to truly allow ourselves space to be a whole human being. What does that mean? Well, it means pairs of opposites that define us. So for every moment I have that is happy, I'm also going to have sad moments. For every time I experience peace and calm, I'm also going to have to encounter anger and frustration. Every time I feel like I have something in control, and there's plenty of things within my control, I am going to encounter things that are completely out of my control. Every time I have an experience of abundance, I'm also bound to encounter experiences of scarcity and lack. In Buddhism, we have the 8 worldly winds, 4 pairs of opposites that define so much of our dukkha, so much of our suffering and discomfort. Praise and blame, pain and pleasure, gain and loss, fame and disregard. But you can appreciate that our lives encounter so many pairs of opposites all the time. So, in the spirit of recovery and learning to grow our capacity to support our own recovery and to support the recovery of others, we have to look at the pairs of opposites that we are bound to encounter. The most obvious is craving and attachment. When we have a craving arise, it can feel very much out of control. And in some ways, it is. The thought arises often without our permission, sometimes out of nowhere. The Equanimous practice says the moment that you're aware of a craving, an arising, is the moment that you pause and you take a deep breath. Because even though that arising may be out of your control, how you react to it is entirely in your control. And one of the ways to gain agency and power within yourself so you don't get swept away is to pause and breathe. Wow, would you look at this? I've got a craving that's coming up out of nowhere. And then a tiny point of freedom, which is a place to get curious. What's going on for me? What are the conditions that might have contributed to this craving arising? Am I bored? Am I sad? Am I stressed? What am I trying to soothe with habit energy that doesn't actually serve me well anymore? Because that's what habit energy is. It's a tool, a coping that we use to soothe ourselves, to bring comfort until it no longer does that and it brings us only pain. So we create space around this whole thing. Wow, I've got a craving coming up. Pause, breathe, create space, slow it down. As Luma has reminded us repeatedly, it's so important. See what's going on. Understand the conditions surrounding it. Be gentle. Be curious. Find something else to do rather than react in the same old habitual ways. And friends, that is easier said than done. Let's just admit that. Let's let that be real. Sometimes it's just easier to fall into habit energy. And that's unfortunate. And then we have an opportunity to learn from that. What did we gain? What did we lose? How do we keep going? But maybe with a couple of extra breaths, even if we can't find something creative, something else to do, maybe with a couple of intentional breaths, we just give ourselves a couple more moments. And maybe our gaze looks out the window and aha, whew, made it. We're going to go outside. We're not going to reach for the fridge. We're going to go outside. Couple more moments, over and over again. Freedom in the moment. is powerful. I think one of the most extraordinary things that we can do differently every single time we encounter our habit energy, and one of the habits that many of us possess, is a harsh way of talking to ourselves. A craving arises, we might breathe, but in the back of the mind, we're feeling pretty negative. We're feeling pretty harsh toward ourselves, pretty judgmental. And a creative avenue we can begin practicing that is profound is to be gentle. To start practicing a compassionate voice. Hey, whoa, there's a craving that just came forward. We're all right. It's okay. We got this. This is familiar. We're strong. Wow. And we're practiced. I can do something different. I'm creative. I'm curious. I'm open and spacious. Wise, gentle speech can shift and soften the whole thing. Complementing that compassionate speech is something that many of you have heard me talk about. It's a practice that I say to myself. It's a phrase, really, like a mantra that I say to myself every time I catch myself in that kind of that negative sigh, that ugh place, like, ugh, this again. The minute I catch myself doing that, the moment I'm like, ugh, so like collapsed in my body, I take a deep breath and I go, ooh, and I sit up. Something's here for me to work with. I'm going to practice. So this is the spiritual practice called ugh to ooh. Ugh. Ooh. I'm gonna be okay. I can understand this. I can learn and change and grow. But I can't do any of it if I don't practice. Remember, friends, practice makes practice. And it really does get easier as you go. And with that, let's go ahead and end our practice with a dedication of merit. Go ahead and bring your attention back to that inward gaze. And let's take a moment to really bring in the spiritual component of a Buddhist practice, which is the full recognition that any merit that we have gained here today by practicing, by listening to the Dharma, by stepping into our own Buddha nature, there is so much positive karma being generated in this community right now. For each of us as individuals, for the community as a whole, and then by extension, all the way out into the world. So today we bring into our awareness anyone who is uncomfortable in their life circumstances for whatever reason. We bring into consciousness anyone in our local communities who are unhoused and really suffering the ravages of substance misuse, abuse, addiction. We bring into our awareness anyone who is in jail or prison, anyone who is in the hospital, terribly ill, whether that is mind, body, spirit. May anybody in our local communities, in our whole nation, and in fact around the world, who is experiencing suffering, may this practice reach them and bring some space. And in that space, may they have an opportunity to see something clearly and to understand themselves a little more broadly. And in that wise effort, may they have the power, may they know they already possess the power to bring themselves ease, harmony, peace. You are all powerhouses of practice, and it is such a privilege to be here with you. I hope I get to see you again soon, and in the meantime, have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your practice as you go, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.